Vineet Agarwal, the MD, joining in the show right now. Vineet, hi, good morning. Good to have you in the show. We've been seeing healthy e-way bill generation being registered, this that your industry must be growing well in revenue terms, at least that is what it's indicating. Wanted to understand what your growth target then is for FY22.
Sure. So, thank you for having me over. The guidance that we had given for the street, 15 to 20% on the top line and 30 to 40% on the bottom line. We are actually in the first 6 months over that target, but we've maintained a little bit of conservatism because we were not sure about if there would be a third wave and how it will impact consumer demand as well as supply. So in that context, though we are on track right now, but I think we'll have to see how this virus variant plays out with the next few months in terms of both demand and supply. So right now, volume seems to be up there. Post Diwali, there's typically a little bit of a lag that comes around, but it tends to pick up for the end of the fiscal when we'll see good growth and momentum. And some sectors are already showing that as we speak.
Right. Also, we suppose that your operating expenses must have inched higher, especially on the back of rising fuel costs as well. Wanted to understand how is it that you're managing the same, and how is it that you've been taking price hikes in order to mitigate this impact of rising fuel prices?
Yes, so there is a lot of increases in input prices, not just from fuel prices, but we're also seeing increase in lubricant prices, tire prices, driver wages, tolls, and so on and so forth. So all that has impacted cost structures for the logistics industry as a whole, and not just in the road sector, but also in the rail, in the coastal shipping side as well. However, we do have back-to-back contracts with our clients where if there is any increase that happens in certain input costs, including fuel, for example, we will get a corresponding increase in our rates as well. So a lot of that has already happened, and we've been able to pass on some of these increases that have happened in the last few months. Also, from a perspective of margins, it has not affected our margins in any way. We continue to see the growth in terms of both top line and bottom line.
All right. Vineet, talking about the opportunities that are opening up in the logistics space, a lot of new service sectors seem to be emerging. What is TCI working towards, and what, according to you, is going to be the next growth engine for the company?
Right. So the logistics sector is one of those sectors today that is really at the cusp of change because of the change that's happening with industry, change that's happening with our customers, and the demand is coming from all kinds of areas. So clearly, one is that the way consumers are consuming, they are changing towards omni-channel, which means that at the back end, your warehouses need to change. They need to go not just to the retail channels, but also to the online channels. So if you need to set up fulfillment centers, etc. So that is a big change from a demand perspective, and it has led to a huge amount of demand for organized companies like us. The second is the fact that our customers are asking and wanting to outsource more and more of the logistics. And that outsourcing would mean not just road logistics or warehousing, but they're saying about multimodal logistics. So we offer them services which are both road, rail, sea, and we offer a combination of the multimodal services. And that is also driving a lot of growth and will drive a lot of growth for the future. The third aspect is all the regulatory changes. Regulatory changes like GST coming in, e-way bill, etc., which is leading to the formalization of the sector as a whole. Again, driving volumes and business for companies like ours, which are in the organized sector, which have a structure in place so that companies are able to claim their GST benefits and so on. Last but not the least is the development that's happening on the infrastructure side. Now, any kind of development, whether it is building of new expressways, new ports, railway like the DFC corridor and so on, is going to lead to a direct impact on the improvement and efficiency of logistics, which means that it will drive more business to organized players. So like this, we're seeing that there are several reasons where logistics for the next few years seems to be a very, very attractive sector.
Vineet, you mentioned multimodal infrastructure as an opportunity for growth, and there is the recently launched PM Gati Shakti National Master Plan for that multimodal infrastructure connectivity that is likely to play a major part. How important do you think that is, and how is digitization also creeping into the way that you do business?
So initiatives like the PM Gati Shakti program are just absolutely fantastic because it creates a platform where a product, a cargo can move irrespective of the mode of transport seamlessly across the country. And we also know that today our country, 60 to 63% of our cargo moves by road, 20-25% by rail, and the rest is the other modes of transport. This is not the right mix for the competitiveness of our country as a whole. We need to shift more and more towards the cheaper modes of transport like rail, like coastal shipping, and so on. And the PM Gati Shakti program will definitely help in building that connectivity, building that platform that we are able to do it. The second aspect around this is that a lot of companies are looking at green logistics. And as we look at less carbon emissions and moving from road to rail to sea, we are reducing the amount of carbon that is our carbon footprint. So we'll see there are a lot of companies thinking about moving towards multimodal for green logistics as well. The second part of your question around digital transformation related to our sector, there is a lot that's happening in this space. I think customer expectations with online food deliveries, etc., have also fueled the fact that there's an expectation of higher service quality when it comes to logistics companies. And some of the things like tracking and so on have become quite standard, have become quite normal and hygiene in our sector. But we are seeing now the evolution of introducing a lot of other new things to logistics. And over time, things like drones and the increased use of IoT, etc., are also going to be game changers for our sector. So overall, a very, very dynamic scenario when it comes to use of IT also in logistics.
Right. You made a very interesting point there about green logistics. Wanted to understand what your own plans are on the same.
So the reason that we are also very, very keen, clearly from a customer perspective, they want green logistics. So we have to evolve also for what our customer wants, and which means that we are offering these different solutions to them, from road to rail to sea, and a combination of them. So we do have our own services for road, of course. We have a seaways business where we own ships that operate on the coastal shipping routes on the East Coast and on the West Coast. We also have a joint venture with Concord to run rail logistics in the country, container movement. And we offer seamless solutions to our clients. So if there could be a client in North India, we bring their cargo, their containers by rail to Kandla port, put it onto a ship, take it to, let's say, Cochin, put it onto a truck and deliver it. Now, this is becoming quite standard across the country now on various routes and sectors. So we feel that the fact that we are able to offer these solutions and customers want them as well, we should be in a good place to. And all of these services are internal to us. We don't outsource them. So that gives us a little bit of an edge when we are offering these services.
Sure. Also wanted to understand, keeping the rail and ship mode aside and talking about the road transport in particular over here, are you planning to get EV fleet in road transport and looking to expand that as well, perhaps?
That's right. So I think, the evolution from a 5-7 year perspective on the road transport sector is somewhat like this, where the first mile and the last mile, which has the less distance, and you rightly said that how EVs do not have that range yet, will possibly be electric vehicles, will possibly be even some amount of CNG, LNG. And on the long distances, we'll probably see CNG, LNG, and hydrogen as the next fuel for the overall sector. So it's going to be a combination of multiple from diesel to EV to CNG, LNG, and finally hydrogen as well, which would lead to the transformation towards green energy in the logistics sector.
All right. Also, give us a sense, Vineet, about the expansion plans that you have. Clearly, you're bullish on the future for TCI.
So the expansion plans are that every year we would like to spend between 150 to 200 crores in terms of capex. For the next 3 years, we intend to spend about 500 crores for buying either new ships or trucks, railway rakes, and construction of warehouses. So that would be the expenditure. In terms of market share gains, it's very difficult to ascertain market share in our sector because it's quite fragmented. It's a $200 billion industry, but it's very difficult to know from each of the sectors that I talked about, road or rail or supply chain solutions, the exact market share. But we know that we are definitely growing faster than the growth of the market, and hence there is some positive gain in terms of market share.
All right, Vineet, always a pleasure speaking with you. Thank you so much for taking the time.